Travelling with the Magi. Sky watchers are in for a treat on December the 21st, the article said, with an exceptionally close conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. The 2020 conjunction will be the closest since July the 16th, 1623. If you missed this one 13 days ago because of cloud cover, or like me, because you forgot, you've got a long wait until the next one. 60 years, in fact. If you are 40 or under, you have a sporting chance. The one after that, forget it. 2417. As Jupiter and Saturn had their rendezvous just a few days before Christmas, it was called, inevitably, the Christmas star. In fact, scholars have long theorized that the original Christmas star, the Star of Bethlehem, might also have been a great conjunction. According to Christian lore, a bright light in the sky led the three wise men to the location of Jesus' birth. This morning, we're reflecting on the three wise men, the Magi. Lady Marion Fraser was teaching piano to a 7-year-old. As Christmas approached, she asked him which carol he would like to learn to play. "The one about the three wee kings," he said. Well, we know what he meant. What we don't know is how wee or how big the kings were. We don't even know if there were kings, or if there were three of them. They're only mentioned in Matthew's Gospel. They make an appearance at the start of chapter 2 and disappear 12 verses later. This Wednesday will be Epiphany. As 12th night, it marks the end of the Christmas period, the 12 days of Christmas. It reminds us that the decorations come down and are stored away for another year. There's more to Epiphany than that, though. If you look the word up in a dictionary with a small e, it means a spiritual event in which the essential meaning of something appears in a sudden flash of recognition. With a capital E, it's the day that the wise men visited the infant Jesus with their gifts. It celebrates the manifestation of the divine nature of Jesus to the Gentiles, the non-Jews, to you and to me, if you like. And those wise men are shadowy figures. They announce their quest in verse 2, are called by Herod to a secret meeting in verse 7, are sent to Bethlehem, and in verse 11 find the babe and his mother, kneel down and worship him, and present their gifts. God warns them in a dream not to return to Herod. They return to their own country. End of story. Their names are not recorded in the Gospel. It introduces them as some men who studied the stars and came from the east to Jerusalem. Only centuries later did the names Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar become attached to them. We talk of 3 wise men. Some traditions say 12. The 3 probably settled on because there were 3 gifts. Who were they? The most widely held view is that the Magi were part scientists, part astronomers, part astrologers. probably part of the priestly caste of the Parthian Empire that centered on Persia and stretched from eastern Syria to the fringes of India. Those priests paid great attention to the stars and gained an international reputation for astrology, then regarded as a science. Were they kings? That's probably a later interpretation by early readers of Matthew, referencing Old Testament prophecies that describe the Messiah being worshipped by kings. Kings shall fall down before him. All nations serve him. There they are then, their gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, faithfully reproduced in card and foil and carried in every nativity play. Their worship depicted by artists for centuries. Gold for kingship on earth, frankincense and incense, a symbol of deity, and myrrh, an embalming oil, a symbol of death. They feature on Christmas cards and process solemnly across the windows of the garden room at Langside Church. Their gifts, though, are likely to have been presented some 2 years later, after Jesus' birth. Matthew writes, "They went into the house," not a stable, "and when they saw the child with his mother Mary, they knelt down and worshipped him." That timescale would certainly fit with Herod's massacre of all the boys in Bethlehem and its neighborhood who were 2 years old and younger. Our Christmas cards and the work of countless artists over the centuries show a convenient coming together of Luke's birth narrative, stables, shepherds, angels, with Matthew's visitors from the east. The Magi inspire artists and writers still. The Orkney writer, the late George Mackay Brown, in his prose poem King of Kings, gives an insight into their minds with a superb series of word pictures. Mackay Brown introduces them as they journey towards their goal. It is an innkeeper who speaks first. You have to imagine him passing on information to the government of the day. He is an informer, in other words. They went about the village all day with questing eyes. I poked among the baggage, ingots, cruets, chalices, tiaras, candlesticks, swords, thuribles, swathe upon swathe of heavy green silk, emeralds cold as ice. They came back late. They wrote their names in the guest book, steep, square letters like Hindu temples, like ships of Cathay. I cannot read it. I've torn out the page for your perusal. Please, I said, to enter the place of origin. Cold Face murmured, the broken kingdoms of this world, and wrote in the book. Nothing in the room for a while but shadows and flutters. Also enter, I said, the nature of your business. You understand the imperial government requires this. Bronze Face said, bearers of precious gifts. Nothing again. One star that hung a web of glimmers and shadows about the chamber. Blessings given to men in the beginning, he went on at last, that have been wrongly spent on pomp, wars, usury, whoredoms, vainglory, ill-used heavenly gifts. We no longer know what to do with these mysteries. Our thrones are broken. We've brought the old treasures here by difficult ways. We are looking for the hands that first gave them in the ancient kingdom. Let them shine now in the ceremonies of the poor. I lit a cluster of 7 candles on the wall. But first we must find the kingdom, said Daffodil Face, smiling. Perhaps this kingdom doesn't exist. Perhaps we found it and didn't recognize it. Perhaps it is hidden so deep in birth and love and death that we will never find it. If so, we will leave our skulls in the desert. We do not know where we should go from here. Perhaps the kingdom is a very simple thing. In this, the first Sunday of a new year, where do we go from here? We go forward into a challenging new year with a renewed resolve to continue to build the kingdom in our church, our neighborhood, and the wider world. Perhaps the kingdom is a very simple thing, as simple and as difficult and as profound as love. Thanks be to God.